Okay, so let's jump in. I'm so excited for this. I'm like literally like I've been so excited to do this. So I'm going to walk you guys through a little bit of the explanation for the emotional resonance clearing that we're going to be doing in this group. And then we're going to focus on fire today. We're going to go in and do some clearing in fire. I'm going to take you through a little bit of a energetic and spiritual deep dive into fire through a little mini guided meditation. And we're going to talk a little bit about beginning to incorporate some ritual in your connection to the elements while you're in this program. So that's sort of what we're going to be doing today, what we're going to be covering today. So you've obviously had the amazing information from Michelle on fire. Now you've had the bit that we talked about in the element factor. And now you've had Michelle's training on fire. So as you know, the emotion of fire is joy. And we are, so the overwhelming emotion of fire is joy. I think I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the clearing first is what I'm going to do. So emotional resonance clearing is a new clearing modality, a new emotional clearing modality that I have developed, and I have developed with some amazing input from Michelle. And we are really just like over the moon about the results that we're getting from this clearing. It is a deep journey into all of the parts of our being. I feel like obviously I'm an advanced spiral practitioner and I love the spiral work. To me, this emotional clearing modality that I've developed, it makes so much sense to me, because for me, I always wondered and questioned why more emphasis and focus wasn't put on the emotions in the other emotional clearing that I had done, including the spiral. And because I've always had that understanding, I've always been drawn to the elements. I've always had the understanding that the elements are a part of everything. And then after meeting Michelle and beginning to work with Michelle one-on-one, which I don't know if all of you know that, like I've worked for months with Michelle one-on-one, really understanding 5-element philosophy and taking a deep dive into my own self-mastery. I am a metal constitutional factor, the same as Michelle, and just really understanding what that means for me. And also in my relationship with my husband, who's a wood, understanding his constitutional factor and understanding him elementally in that way has really improved our relationship. So I'm obsessed with this work. I love it. And I'm so happy that we have the opportunity to share it with you guys here in this container. And I'm so excited to move on to becoming immortal, and really start to deep dive into your constitutional factors with you guys if you choose to continue on that part of the journey. But it was really apparent to me right away after beginning to do the 5-element philosophy and theory work that there was a clearing modality in here. There was something that could be so useful for people that didn't have the ability to be at the acupuncturist, every day, but even every week or every month. And that we really would have the ability to do deep level emotional release work through emotional clearing, which I'm obsessed with and I think is amazing and has transformed my entire life. So I began to look at all of the information that Michelle was presenting me with, and I developed a clearing modality around it. So instead of just identifying the emotion and clearing the emotion, my modality is a 4-step process. And for the purpose of this group, it's more than a 4-step process. It's a 4-step process that then potentially can be repeated up to 2 times more. So each clear that we do within emotional resonance clearing can potentially have 3 sets of clears for it to be complete. We won't be dealing with that in this container because I will be clearing specifically within each element each week that we're talking about. So, but to just give you an idea, especially for those of you that are emotional clearing practitioners and are probably beginning to geek out on this stuff as much as I have been, I know Michelle talked to you about the mother-child relationship within the elements and the controlling cycles. So in theory, if I test into fire element, there's an emotion in fire element that needs to be cleared, I would then go through the 4-step process to including one of those steps is identifying the emotion, right? I would go through the 4-step process to clearing that emotion, and then I would need to go and ask, was there a mother or child relationship associated with that emotion, right? Is there a level above or is there a level below that also needs to be clear? And then I would go through that entire process again in that element. So with fire, as you guys know, fire is the mother of earth and wood is the mother of fire. So I would, in theory, if I I test in and I've got an emotion of hysteria, and then I go through the process and I clear hysteria, I'm then going to ask, does this also need to be cleared at a mother or child level? And if it was a mother level, then I would then go into wood. And if it was a child thing, I would then go into earth, and I would repeat the process. And so then potentially, even if I went into the mother-child relationship, at the end of that, I would then need to ask, is there a controlling cycle at play here? And so, say we went inside, say there was a mother issue. So we go into wood and we clear in wood, and then we get through that process, and then we ask, is there a controlling element at play here? And it's like, yes, it is a controlling factor of wood. So then we know we have to go into metal and clear something additional, and then we go through the 4-step process there. Then the clear would be complete. But sometimes it's just inside the element that we test into and we clear there. And so that's what we're going to be doing for the process of this clearing today and the clearing throughout this program. But I know that there's a lot of you in here that are familiar with emotional clearing, and I thought that you would be interested to know sort of how the modality works. And if you move on with us or you come into any of my other programs, like, this is the work that I'm going to be using primarily moving forward. So just for those of you that want to understand, those of you that want to know more about the modality. And this is why I'm so excited. And you'll see today as we move through the clearing, especially those of you that are spiral practitioners that have gone through the spiral, which I think is the majority of the people in this container, being able to really tap into the feeling and energy and frequency of the metal, of the element. And then in addition to that, really identify, okay, here's the emotion that's stagnant or stuck. The next step we go to is identifying, okay, so what are the issues that are arising in our lives because of that stuck emotion, right? And then, okay, so now we've identified the issues. Well, what is our response to those issues? So how is it presenting in our life, right? Like, how are we actually showing up in the world as a result of those issues that are stemming from that blocked emotion? And then this is the part that I think for me, I'm the most excited about and I'm the most interested in, and it's because I just have totally geeked out on this idea of primary questions for years. So I don't know, for those of you that have read Tony Robbins' book, Awake the Giant Within, he does a really great job of talking about and explaining primary questions. So primary questions are questions that are responses to events that have taken place in our life that have programmed or conditioned us to respond in a certain way, right? And because of that programmed conditioning or response, we have an issue in our life, we respond in a certain way, and then we continue to reinforce a primary question. So it's like, okay, we've got this stuck emotion, it's causing this issue in our life, we're responding to this issue this way, and ultimately we're asking ourselves a question. And we're asking ourselves that question so much that neurotransmitter that is delivering that message is getting reinforced and reinforced and reinforced by the myelin that's growing around that neurotransmitter by the continual reinforcement of asking that question. this is where things become debilitating. And this is what I'm so excited about with this modality, because we're actually identifying the primary question. We identify what the primary question is that has begun to be solidified based upon whatever the stagnant or stuck emotion is. And when we know the question, it's just a whole other level of clearing. And so I love this because for me, what happens is once I can identify all of that, right? Then we go in and we use the actual meridian points to release, to send a signal to the body to release the trapped emotion. So we're sending a signal to the element and to the organ or the organs, because sometimes it's more than one, within that element. So often when we have an elemental imbalance, we have a trapped emotion, but it's not just affecting one of the organs, it's affecting both, right? So we're sending a message through using the Chinese meridian points. That is a direct message to our body. Go to this area, clear this emotion. And I don't know how much Michelle's getting into the spirits of the elements. I haven't actually watched her training yet. I'm going to do it later today. But I don't know how much she's getting into the spirits of the elements. But in Becoming Immortal, we'll definitely be taking a deep dive into the spirits. And when we get into the spirits, it's like, this is the coolest shit ever, as far as I'm concerned, like the spirit part of the elements. So when we get into that, when we really deep dive into the spirit part of the elements, this is really where we begin to realize how these stuck emotions are impacting our lives. So I'm excited about this because we have a method now to directly communicate with our body to release trapped emotions. And through the releasing of those trapped emotions and identifying what the primary question is, we have the opportunity to release that primary question. One of the things that I find with traditional clearing methods is, yes, we're going in and releasing the emotion, but then it's popping up again, it's showing up again. It's because of this. It's because even though we're clearing that trapped emotion, we're clearing it from our body, but our brain has still solidified that primary question. We haven't released that. In this clearing modality, we're not only releasing the trapped emotion, we're releasing the primary question. And that's the part I feel like is missing in a lot of the clearing modalities and it's why stuff continually comes up and continually pops up and we can't clear it for good. So that's a little bit about emotional resonance clearing. I'm so excited to be sharing it with you here. I am doing it in my Ouroboros program. So those of you that are in Ouroboros have been exposed to this a little bit. But this is really the first time that I have had the opportunity to dive deep and explore this with you guys, and really talk to you and explain to you why this works and why we're doing it this way and the impact of doing it this way. So I'm really excited to be taking this journey with you through the elements and helping you clear out stuck and stagnant emotions within the elements. We will be doing group clearing in this program. So we will be clearing the energetic field and frequency of the collective container inside this group. Those of you that have worked with me before, you know that I love group clearing. I feel like it is so powerful because as a collective, when we come together, we're not only clearing our stuck and stagnant emotional imprints and installments, we're clearing those of the collective, not only inside of this container, but out in the world, which is really, really, really needed right now, right? With everything that's going on in the world. Emotional resonance clearing is my new modality. Emotional clearing is a thing that's been around for a long time. And I'm toying around with calling it actually elemental emotional resonance clearing, but it's kind of a mouthful. So we're still kind of figuring that out. So I think that's it. That's what's up. That's what's happening in the group and in the container. And we are going to be clearing inside the fire element today with the modality. So I want to just take you guys through a really brief kind of grounding session, check-in, identifying with the element, little sort of mini meditation inside the fire element to get us prepped and ready to do the clearing. So get yourselves comfortable, have a seat. You'll want to close your eyes, but you don't need to be laying down or anything. Obviously, if you're driving, please wait and do this part later. But yeah, just get yourself into a comfortable position and begin to just breathe rhythmically. No need to do anything special, but just kind of in through the nose and out through the mouth. Finding a pace that's comfortable for you. Tapping into your energy field and your frequency right now. Pulling back your energy and your frequency from all the places that you've put it out into the world today. Bringing it back to you, to your center, to your core. And from a place of observation and non-judgment, just identifying how you're feeling in this moment. With remembrance that there's a lot going on in the collective field right now, and there's no right or wrong answer for how you're feeling. Feelings are simply just that, feelings and emotions. But identifying how you feel in your energy. And again, I really want you to make sure that you're tapping into your energy and not the energy of the collective field. How do you feel in this moment? Observing and acknowledging that feeling. Not needing it to be anything other than what it is. And then just setting the intention here to be present during this clearing today, to be present within your energy, to take ownership and self-accountability and self-responsibility for your energy, and doing everything that you can do in this moment to raise your energetic vibration in your frequency, to identify the things that are holding you back, the things that are stuck or stagnant in your life, and setting the intention that all of that be cleared with grace and ease, and that anything and everything that's not serving your highest and best good be easily cleared today, and anything that's prohibiting you from reaching and achieving your infinite potential be cleared today, and anything that's a hindrance on your road to self-mastery be cleared today. And as we move into the fire element, beginning to call a visualization to mind that represents the fire element to you. It may be the alchemical symbol for fire, it may be an actual fire, maybe a color. But calling upon and calling into your energetic field a representation of the fire element. And feeling the warmth of that element, the beautiful red and orange color of that element wash over you and fill your energetic field. Tapping into all of the parts where this element resides inside your being, not just inside your physical vessel, but inside your spiritual body and your energetic body and your emotional body as well. So as you are calling in and as you are igniting the fire element and the flame of the fire element inside of you, feel it touching all the places in all of your 5 bodies where the fire element resides, activating each of them, creating a light inside each of those places, calling on those places to show up and be present and be accounted for in this clearing today. Knowing that this may show up for you in your life as love and warmth. When your fire element is activated, you may feel love, you may feel warmth. You may also feel some emotional volatility. You may feel closeness and intimacy, or you may feel a lack of closeness and intimacy, depending upon how the fire element is ignited in your being right now. You may feel happiness. You may feel clarity, but you may feel confusion. So really just paying attention to how this element is feeling in your body right now, in your being right now. Really tapping in and asking yourself if any of these statements or questions resonate with you. Am I lovable? Why do I go up and down so much? How can I truly relate to others? How can I find true happiness? Why can't I sort things out? Some or all may resonate with you or with parts of you. Just really tapping into the energy of those questions. And again, asking that anything and everything that's no longer serving our highest and best good be able to be cleared easily and effortlessly today. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. One of the things I really want to call upon you guys to do as we're moving through this process and through this program is to incorporate a little bit of ritual into your lives around the elements. I think it's so important that we really connect in with each of the elements. It's so interesting. So I'm primarily fire in my astrological chart, and I had a dream last year that and in the dream, as I flew as a dragon off of a horse, it's a long dream, I'm not going to get into all the details of it, but I looked down and I could see my hands, and on my hands I had these tattoos, and it was the fire symbol and the Sagittarius symbol, so I'm a Sagittarius sun. I have a stellium in Sagittarius actually, but I'm a Sagittarius sun. And I saw this and I was like, I have to get that tattoo on my body. Like, I have to get that tattoo. I saw it in the dream. I had to get the tattoo. And it wasn't until later, because I geek out on all things elemental now. It wasn't until later that I looked up and was like, I was looking up palmistry and the elements, how the elements correspond and relate to our fingers and our hand. And the ring finger is the finger of the fire element. And I was just like mind blown. So for me, it's like ritual to me is like literally I just connect down into this tattoo that I have on my hand when it comes to fire, right? Water is a huge conduit for me. So I connect into the water element every day when I'm in the shower. I allow divine guidance and divine downloads to come through. So I really want you to identify and find ritualistic ways to incorporate these elements into your life. This is going to be completely individual, you guys, because each one of you are these, unique, amazing beings, but I would love for you to share in the chat. So obviously this week we're just working on fire. I just want you to find the thing that ritualistically connects you to fire, and something that, over the next week you can, and then certainly throughout the end of the program, right? It's not like when we move on to Earth, you're going to just stop doing your ritual around fire, but you'll continue on, you'll just add on another element. But I really want you to identify in the next few days, like, what is the thing that's going to connect you to your internal fire element? What is the thing that will activate your fire element within you when you need it, right? When you need the strength and the warmth and the love of the fire element. So for me, it's like I have something here that I literally can just focus in on. But yours might be lighting a candle. And for me, like, candles are a big thing as well. I feel so connected to the fire element when I light candles. I have one here on my desk, so I light it generally during sessions. So what is it? What is it for you? You might have a fireplace in your house. It may be literally sitting in front of your fireplace. It may be lighting a candle. It may be something entirely different. But please share how you're going to be doing that throughout the course of this program, how you're going to be ritualistically tapping into the elements. It's really important because, as we all know, the elements are the building blocks of life, and they exist inside every single living thing on this planet, right? And, we can sit here and we can talk about it, and we can clear, and we can, identify trapped emotions inside the element, but you've really got to connect to your own internal fire element in order to cultivate it, right? In order to create balance in it, you've got to know what it is for you, what it represents. You have to create a deep exploration of each of these elements inside your individual being, right? Inside your individual spiritual being, your physical being, your mental being, your emotional being, your energetic being. Like, you have to identify what that element means to you. So please identify what it is and then share it in the chat with all of us and how you're going to be activating that element within yourself for the remainder of the program. And we're going to do it with each element, obviously, but right now we're working on fire. So and then take some moments each day to do that, even if it's just lighting a candle before you sit down to dinner, or it's lighting a candle as you sit down to read. Like, what are the things that make you feel connected to your fire element? Okay, so with that, we are going to jump into clearing in the fire element. You guys ready? Let me take a drink of water because I feel like I was just talking nonstop. Okay. All right, so I will be tapping into the Inner Alchemy Collective. Anyone that is in this program currently and anyone that will be in this round of the program. And again, when I tap in and do collective clearing, and especially for those of you that haven't done it with me before, everything is accessible to us in the quantum field. Everything is accessible to us in the infinite now. And so right now, in the infinite now, everyone that is ever going to sign up for this program has already signed up. So I have the ability to tap into the collective energy of this field, even though we may have people joining us over the next several days. So I'm tapping into, when I'm doing this collective clearing, I'm tapping into all of the energy of this collective. And we're tapping into where we have imbalances and blocks as a result of emotional stagnation, emotional stuckness, emotional imbalance. Okay, and we're asking that be cleared completely today through this clearing so that we can be back into balance in our fire element, so that we can move on to the next step in the next phase of this program. Okay, so I am first going to identify how many emotions we're needing to clear today. So we've got 6, which is quite a lot. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, and you can take notes if you want. If you want to take notes and you want to know all the things and you want to be able to go back and reference, you can do that. Or if you want to just be here and be present in the moment during the clearing, you can do that as well. Okay, so I'm going to identify the emotions first, and then we will go through the breakdown of each emotion and do the clearing, okay? So the first emotion that needs to be cleared and released today is receptivity. Or not being receptive. Inability to receive, right? Or ability to receive is really what we should say. Okay, and the second emotion is self-obsession. Feeling of being exposed and unprotected. being easily hurt or hurting. Stability, need for stability or lack of stability as the case may be, and compassion. Okay, so we've identified our 6 emotions, and now we are going to go through, break them down, and clear them, okay? So in relation to receptivity, or not being receptive, or ability to receive, the issue that this is creating is it's creating issues with closeness and intimacy. Yeah, inability to receive, causing issues with closeness and intimacy. That makes sense, right? So then we move into like what the response is to the issue. So being overprotected. So we're overprotecting ourselves. And ultimately, the question that it's asking us, that we're asking ourselves, our primary question that's stemming from this issue with receptivity is, why can't I sort things out? All right, and this is going to be heart 7. So it's going to be right side. So you're going to go to your ring finger on your right side, and you're going to come down into the crease of the wrist. And the point that we're pressing is going to be in between the pinky tendon and the ring finger tendon on the right wrist. So we're going to release this installment here. So we've got this inability to receive, which is causing issues with closeness and intimacy in our lives. And we're responding to those by just being overprotective, right? It's like we're reinforcing, we're not going to receive, we're going to protect ourselves. We're going to be overprotective of ourselves because we don't feel close to people. We don't have the ability to feel intimate with people because we have an inability to receive. And then that's frustrating, right? It's very frustrating in our relationships, and it causes us to be like, why can't I sort things out? Why can't I connect to people? Why can't I be intimate? Why can't I be close? Why do I feel like this, right? Why am I having this issue? Why can't I sort this out? So we're clearing all of this out now through heart 7. Yeah, the Chinese meridian points are fascinating, right? It's like it's probably activating something else in your system that needs to be cleared out, so you're feeling it somewhere else. Have we successfully cleared receptivity? Any saboteurs, any deception? Okay, so moving on to self-obsession. Self-obsession is creating an issue of another issue around closeness and intimacy. And remember, this may show up for you as self-obsession, or it may show up for you as not enough self-obsession, right? A lack of self-obsession. So you've got to kind of identify for you where it fits. Is it a self-obsession, or is it a lack of self-obsession that's causing issues with closeness and intimacy? And our response to that issue is that we're miserable. It creates misery. And the question we're ultimately asking ourselves here is, am I lovable? So in the cases where, let's see, we're going to do, this is going to be pericardium 7, left side. And so pericardium 7 is in the crease, in the middle. So in between the ring finger and the middle finger in the crease, the tendons there, you'll feel the little dent. So clearing this out. So often self-obsession stems from insecurity, right? And so, am I lovable being the question. But that question of am I lovable, feeling miserable, feeling a lack of closeness and intimacy to people can also result in lack of self-obsession. So like being frivolous with care of our physical body, right? Choosing not to engage in self-mastery, choosing not to engage in trying to achieve perfect health or ideal physical states, because we're just completely, we're on the complete other side of it, right? Like no self-obsession. We're not willing to put the effort in. And that causes issues with closeness and intimacy, and we're miserable in that way as well. And ultimately, we're still asking ourselves, am I lovable? So hopefully you can kind of see how it breaks down on either side. Have we successfully cleared self-obsession, any saboteurs, any deception? Okay, cool. So I know there's a couple of you that are new to emotional clearing. So I'm using a kinesiology tool, a kinesiology testing tool, which is what I'm doing here. I'm testing, is it a yes or it's a no, or it's breaking on the thing that we need to clear. So for those of you that are new, I know there's a couple of you in here. Okay, so moving on to number 3, which is exposed, leaving us feeling exposed and unprotected. Okay, so the issue that's arising from that is it's causing confusion. And our response to that is to become closed and isolated. And ultimately, we are asking ourselves, how can I truly relate to others? Okay. This is small intestine 3. It's going to be on the right side. So this is going to be, so if you go on the pinky finger down past the knuckle, you're going to feel a little dent there. That's where we're rubbing. Clearing out, feeling exposed and unprotected, which leads to confusion, which leads to us being closed and isolated and asking ourselves, how can I truly relate to others? Okay, am I successfully cleared, exposed, and unprotected? Any saboteurs, any deception? Cool. All right, so moving into being easily hurt or hurting. The issues that it is causing is emotional volatility. Which is leading to us being volatile, of course, and ultimately asking ourselves, how can I truly relate to others? And remember, emotional volatility doesn't have to look like anger. It can look like eruptions of sadness. Emotional volatility can also be being flatlined, not responding at all, right? We don't take that into consideration. Emotional volatility is anything that's outside a normal emotional wave, right? Lack of emotion can be volatility. Though in most cases, emotional volatility is like inappropriate emotional response of anger, of rage, of sadness, of frustration. Like there's all of those, like it's the spikes, but just remember that it can also be lack of or flatness. Okay, so this is going to be pericardium 6. No, pericardium 7, sorry. And we're here in the middle, right side, underneath the crease. Clearing out being easily hurt or hurting. How can I truly relate to others when I'm always being hurt or I'm always hurting? And my perception is that it's people that are hurting me, right? Okay, we successfully cleared easily hurt and hurting, any saboteurs, any deception. Okay, moving on to stability. So the issue with this stuck or stagnant emotion around stability is happiness. It's affecting our happiness. Need for stability is affecting our happiness. And so our response to that is to become overprotected. So we're overprotecting everything, right? We're being overprotected probably of our assets, of our resources, all of this stuff because we need stability, but it's affecting our happiness. And ultimately it's causing us to ask ourselves, why can't I sort things out? Why can't I find the stability that I want? Why can't I sort things out? Small intestine 3, right side. So we're going to be here underneath the pinky bone, knuckle. Clearing out emotions around need for stability that are affecting our happiness, causing us to be overprotected, and ask ourselves, why can't I sort things out? Remember, especially if you're new to emotional clearing, any yawning or burping or farting or energy movement that needs to come out, just let it move, let it flow through you. No burping so far today for me. I feel like I burp more in the metal element because that's my CF. Metal and wood, I'm like constantly burping. It's so fascinating. Fascinating. Okay, so we've got one final installment, and it is compassion or lack of compassion, as the case may be. And yeah, my eyes started watering on that one too. And so, that was a clearing yawn for sure, right? That big yawn that you can barely get out of your system. So compassion or the lack of compassion is creating an issue of affecting our happiness again. And so our response to that is to be closed and isolated, and ultimately ask ourselves the question, why do I go up and down so much? So I think that this is happening. This is a big thing in the world right now, right? Because it's heart 7, by the way, right side. Which is in between the tendons in the wrist crease, in between the tendons of the pinky and the index finger. This is a big thing in the world right now, right? Because it's near impossible to not be affected by the fear, scarcity, lack that's happening in the collective consciousness right now, right? And there's the burp. And we want to be compassionate, but then it feels like too much, and so we may shut down. So we may be vacillating between these two, being compassionate and then shutting down compassion because it's too much. We can't take it, right? And it's affecting our happiness. And so then what do? Well, what are we right now? Closed and isolated, right? Yes. And what does it cause us to do? When our happiness is being affected by our compassion or lack of compassion, we close, we isolate. We're not sharing ourselves with everyone, right? And then it's like we're on this kind of yo-yo of like, I want to be compassionate, I can't be compassionate, it's too much, especially if you're an empath of any kind, right? Like you're being really, really overwhelmed at certain times and then really compassionate at others. It's like, so why do I go up and down so much? Why can't I maintain stability, right? So that's what we're clearing out here. Okay, have we successfully cleared compassion? Have we successfully cleared everything inside the fire element that needs to be cleared for the inner alchemy collective and container today? Is there anything else that needs to be cleared for the collective today in regards to the fire element? Okay. How long will it take for the energies, emotions, and conditions from all of this clearing to release through the collective container? 2 days. So we've got about 2 days of processing and clearing through the container. So it's good. It's a short amount of clearing. One of the things I find with this modality, because we're going a little bit deeper, is integration of the clearing happens much quicker, which I really like. By the way, Michelle and I are doing a live stream tonight at 6 p.m. Bali time, where we're going to be talking about and discussing this modality and the power around it. And we're also going to be talking about our new masterclass that we're doing on Saturday. So definitely like catch that live stream or catch the replay, because we're going to be talking more about this, more about the modality, more about why the integration happens so quickly, we believe, all of that stuff. So if you're totally interested in the modality and you want to hear more about that, then definitely like join the live stream tonight. We're going to be doing it at 6 o'clock. Those of you that are emotional clearing practitioners, I would love for you to go out and share this with your emotional clearing practitioner friends. Like, I'm sure that you guys can already see, being inside this container, how much, even if you don't ultimately end up coming, and obviously we're going to be doing facilitator trainings on the modality at some point, but even if you don't end up using the work, like, I'm sure you can already see how impactful knowing about the elements and knowing all of the relationship to the elements is going to be in your emotional clearing practices, right? So get as many of those people into the inner alchemy, because it's not ever going to be this inexpensive again. Like, literally, like, we'll rerun this program. We'll probably run it for $1,000, I would think, once we've wrapped this round of it. So anyway, feel free to like share, get more people in here. Would love to have more emotional clearing practitioners inside this practice. So, okay, so I want to talk a little bit about integration. With this modality, there isn't actually a need for a ton of integration. We've already sent the messages to the body to release the conditioning, right? We've already identified the primary questions. We've already asked the body to release the primary questions, right? So there isn't much else that needs to be done. I do feel like you identifying your symbol. The other thing that you could do is create a sigil, right? You could create a beautiful fire element sigil and place that somewhere where you could see it. Or you could create several sigils. You could create one for each element and put that somewhere where you can see it. But you connecting in with your fire element and you embracing your fire element is one of the things that's really going to help you integrate this. So through a form of ritual, embracing your fire element. The themes that came up here, though, are why can't I sort things out? And how can I truly relate to others? So if you want to do some journaling on those two questions, why can't I sort things out? And how can I truly relate to others? And how those questions show up in your life, then that would be an integration journaling assignment that I would give you if you're feeling like you need more integration. I do not believe it's necessary. But you know, if you're in this to be all in, to be completely in, then I would spend some time journaling on both of those questions. So again, why can't I sort things out? How's that showing up in your life, right? How has that imbalance been showing up in your life? Feeling like, why can't I sort things out? And then how can I truly relate to others is the other one. So those are your assignments. Please share how you're identifying and how you're going to identify your fire element and what the ritual is that you're going to do. Please share that in the chat. Would love to see more chatting in the chat. I know like now that we've done the clearing, it always kind of opens that up because everybody will be sharing their experiences and what's happening for them. For those of you that are new to clearing, just know like physical body response is very common. You might feel tired. Drink a lot of water. Care for yourself. Make sure you're getting enough rest. If you feel like you need to take a nap, take a nap. This clearing is quite deep, and at the same time, I don't experience the intensity of physical symptoms that I experienced when I was going through the spiral the first time, or when I'm even now doing some spiral. Sorry guys, the internet here has been crazy the last few days. So send me some hearts if you can see me and if I'm back. Okay, cool. No, you do not need to repeat the process of the clearing unless you want to. If you feel like you were distracted or you didn't quite get the whole thing, you can definitely go back and repeat it, but you don't need to repeat it. So one of the things that I feel like is part of the reason why it doesn't require so much integration or so many integration activities is that we're literally working with brain to body healing here, right? Like we're not just working on releasing emotions that are trapped in the body. We are actually activating that brain to body connection where we're moving into the brain, we're moving into the neurotransmitters, where we are sending a signal to the brain to not only release the trapped emotions in the brain, but to release the primary question, the trapped emotions in the body, but also to release the primary question in the brain, which just makes integration happen so much faster. So I think that's it. Thank you guys so much. This was amazing. I'm so excited to be sharing this work with you. I'm so excited to be doing this with you. Show me, tell me all the things. Tell me about how it's showing up. Chat with me in the chat. About the shifts that you experience and the changes that occur. And I think that's it. So I love you guys. I think that we have a first joint live stream with me and Michelle. Yeah, next Monday. So the next touch in here, the next physical touch in here will be me and Michelle will be live Monday evening Bali time, Monday morning United States, midday in London. From 7 to 9. This will be a joint live of Michelle and I where we'll be talking about whatever it is we're going to talk about, probably programming or wellness or whatever comes up in the field and in the container. So that's your next touch from us. Then you'll have Michelle again on Wednesday, and then you'll have me again next Friday. So you kind of got an every other day touch going into next week. So I hope you're enjoying this. Good luck with all of your food combining. Keep at it. Share more about that in the chat if you need to. And yeah, I think that's it. Okay. Mwah. Love you guys. Definitely join Michelle and I for that live stream if you're interested tonight at 6. Another great place to direct people that you think might be interested in this process. Yeah. So stomach cramps after clearing, totally common. Yes, I feel you. That definitely can be a result, especially when you first start doing the work. I definitely for about a year was constantly having stomach stuff. So Leslie's a new spiral practitioner, so I'm not surprised by that at all. Okay, love you guys. Have an amazing day, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. Remember, it's your divine birthright to be wealthy in all areas of your life, and especially in your physical health and your physical vessel, right? That's housing your amazing, immortal soul. So I love you all. I'm so glad that you invested in yourself and you invested your time, energy, money to come do this course. I can't wait to see where you guys are at the end of it. And I think that's it. So, love you guys.